Hi, today we're going to go through a few strength exercises. Most don't need any kind of equipment at all, and they're just what I do for people starting out. So the first one is going to be a squat, and your legs are going to be hip width apart, and I'm actually going to stand to the side because that's an important part. Hip width apart with the legs. Your hips are going to move backwards like you're going to sit on a toilet, and your arms will come out in front just for balance. Just come as low as you can, not lower than knee height with your hip, and then you come up again. So you go down, hips going back, knees stay over your feet. Don't lean too far forward, and push up through the heels. So down, push up. So your weight is in the heel, but make sure it's evenly balanced to the toe so you're not leaning backwards too much. So this is a basic squat. And we're working our quads, our glutes, a little bit of the hamstring. Okay, and we'll do at least 8 of those. You can do 10 to 12 if you're feeling strong. Okay, the next one, which is also for the big muscles in the legs, is a lunge. And the reverse lunge is the easiest way to start. You can do one leg at a time or alternate. So you're going to stand with your balance on one leg. The other leg stretches way back, toe on the ground, then you come down, keeping your front knee over your foot, and the back knee comes down to the point where you feel a stretch or don't feel like you can go any lower, and then you push off that leg, bring them together. So you can alternate, but you can stay with the same leg 8 times, and that's a little easier if you're not familiar or if your balance isn't quite perfect. Bringing your arms in front just helps with the balance. It's important to stretch that leg back as far as you can so your front knee isn't lunging forward. And if you can only go halfway down, that's fine. If you can get your knee to almost touch the floor, that's better. And remember, the back leg is pushing off, and that's what's strengthening our leg. Okay, so after you do at least 8 on each leg, we're going to do side lunges. So one leg is going to step to the side, toes are both facing forward. You're going to lean onto that knee. Your knee is coming in the same direction as your foot, so forward. You're getting a nice stretch on the inner thigh of this leg. Now you push off that leg to bring them together. Again, you can do one leg 8 times, then the other, or you can alternate. Make sure your toes are facing forward, your knees are forward, and you push as hard as you can to bring your legs back together. So you're working the outside of that thigh a little bit, getting a nice stretch on the inner thigh, working the outer glutes. And at least 8 each leg. Okay, great. So those are the big muscles of the legs. Now, if you don't do a lot of walking already, this is a good exercise for the calf. If you're a walker, hiker, you don't need to strengthen your calf anymore. But just doing heel raises up on your toes and down. And if you have some stairs in your house, you can step on the edge of the step, raise your heels, keeping your toes on the step, and then bring your heels actually down below the step so you feel the stretch in the calf, and bring them up again. So this is strengthening the calf On stairs, you would be strengthening and stretching at the same time. So if you do a lot of walking and hiking, the stretching is really important because your calves can get tight and then they limit the mobility around your ankle. Okay, so again, about 8 times. Okay, we're going to move on to the arms. We're going to do bicep and tricep. So this is where it's helpful if you have some weights, or you can take some canned goods or fill a milk or juice jug with water. I'm going to use some weight. And if you don't have anything, just use the motion. You might have bands or something at home, but if you have nothing, that's fine. So bicep is when you just curl from the elbow up, so bringing your hand towards your shoulder. Only the lower arm is moving. And you're working the bicep at the front of your upper arm. When you're standing, you're always working your balance and your core because it's holding you steady, as opposed to if you're sitting or using a machine to do the same thing. So that's one reason I really like body weight exercises. We're often engaging our core at the same time we're doing other things. Okay, so that's bicep. Now, if you are using weights, just make sure your weight feels a little bit challenging by the time you're done, but not too hard, because it's good if you can do a second set after you're done the first set. Okay, so with a tricep, we have a couple choices here, and I'm just going to go down. I think I'm going to go down on my knees, just so you can see me better. So I can, if you have very light weights or nothing, you can use both hands, or you can just use one weight if it's heavy, and then again, bringing your arm from your hand to the elbow. That's the only part that's moving. And this is an overhead tricep press. There's lots of ways of working a tricep. And I could show you some without even any weight, but it's actually harder to lift our own body weight than grabbing a few pounds and maybe a can of something, canned beans or something that weighs a few pounds. Okay, so that's working the tricep, which is at the back of the arm. All right. Now, working a bigger part of the arm, we're going to do a push-up, and if you can't do it on the floor, we'll show you an option. So, again, if your hands or wrists bother you on the floor, you can make a fist to do it. And we'll just start from our knees. So, hands kind of at the side of your face, close to your shoulder, and your knees on the ground. Push yourself up, whoops, knees, and then down. Try and get as low to the ground as you can. And just do as many as you can. If you can't do a push-up from the ground, I'll show you another option. Okay, so just pushing off the wall, hands on the wall, and standing a little bit away. Bring yourself toward the wall, push off. Okay, so your hands are about shoulder height. Mine are a little lower. And this is good for your shoulders too if you can't kneel, or it's hard on your hands, or you just can't lift yourself. The closer you stand to the wall, the easier it is. So just keep moving your feet back to make it more challenging. Okay, so that's an option for that. Last thing, down on the floor again, we're going to do inner and outer thigh. Okay, so you can lay right down with your head on your arm. First one, the bottom leg can be bent just to give you more stability. And then your top leg with your heel facing up and your toe slightly down. You're going to lift that foot. I'm going to get my bottom foot out of the way. Just lifting up so that we're working the outside of our thigh. So the reason we point our toe down and heel up is because if you have your foot rolled so your toe is up, you're now working the front of your leg. So we want to make sure you're working right along the side and into that glute. Okay, so at least 8 again. And then we're going to do the inner thigh of the other leg. So you extend the other leg, bring the top leg in front if you can, otherwise you can leave it behind, but then you tend to roll back. So this helps you engage the right muscle in the middle of that bottom leg. And again, just lift, lifting the heel up just as much as you can. You're limited by how much you can move because this leg is in the way. If you rolled back, you'd have a bigger range of motion there, but it's harder on the back to support yourself. So it's better if you roll forward and just get the smaller range of motion. You're still working that inner thigh. Okay, then you roll over and do the other side. All right, so the top leg first, bottom leg bent for support, toe down, heel up, just lifting. Don't be tempted to roll back. Make sure your hips are stacked on top of each other. You can relax, lay your head down. And after 8 of the top leg, working the outer thigh, we'll switch to the inner thigh of the bottom leg. So extending and lift. Press your heel out, lift with the heel. Okay, good. All right, so at least 8 up to 10 or 12, and that's a good start. And if you get through that and feel like you can do more, do it twice. And that's your exercise for upper and lower body today.